If you're a speaker, trainer, coach, or consultant, this is for you. Many of you ask me, how do I get paid to speak? When the question you should really be asking me is, how do I position myself powerfully to get paid to speak? Don't worry, I got you. And I'm going to answer that question in my Authority Elevator Masterclass. 90 minutes, me and you, I am going to show you the 3-step framework that you need to implement in your business right now to be looked at as a highly paid, sought after speaker. We're going to talk about messaging, marketing, and monetization. All you have to do is click on the link. It's either under this message or somewhere on this page. Click on the link, go to authorityelevator.com and grab your seat. You want to make sure that you're in the place. Stop asking the wrong questions. The question is not, how do I get paid to speak? The question is, how do you position yourself to get paid to speak? And you'll get that answer in the Authority Elevator. So come join me in the next one. Click on the link or just go to authorityelevator.com and grab your seat today. Welcome to another edition of the Speaking of Speaking podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Charles Collins. And speaking of speaking, I'm going to switch it up a little bit today to talk more about mindset and us running around here just dimming our light and playing small, because it's one thing to focus a lot on the how to do things, right? The mechanics of the doing in order to be a thought leader and to be a highly paid, sought after speaker. But we also have to be real about some of the things that we're doing that is causing us to sabotage our own success. And one of those things that we say it all the time is, are you playing small? And for most of us, we're playing small, but some of us, we're not even playing. Like, we're just not even in the game playing whatsoever. And I really want to talk about that today, because there are moments where I'm in that space, right? Where I'm not even playing. I'm not even playing the game. Forget playing small. Like, I am just not even playing the game. And we have to be really real about that and understand that there are going to be those times. There are going to be those moments, and we can't beat ourselves up about it and just feel that everything is lost. But we have to realize that we are in those moments. We have to realize that those things are happening, and we have to realize that when we're not getting the results, that sometimes it's because of us. It's not always because of other people. It's not always the man. It's not always, what happened to us in childhood, or what happened at that last job, or, that man that you had and that woman that you got. It's not always that. That person, the person who is sabotaging our success, is us. And so we got to get really, really clear about that. So I want you to think about, what are some of the things that you might be doing that are holding you back from being that highly paid, sought after speaker, corporate trainer, consultant, coach, the go-to person that people, are just clamoring over and just opening up their pockets and their wallets and everything to just pay you. Can't pay you enough to do it. And I have been thinking about this in my own business. And last year, one of the things that became very clear to me was that I was being very visible, but I was not being very vocal. And you might think, well, what does that mean, that you're visible, but you're not vocal? So if you go on the internet and you Google me, you'll find me. I'll be on, you'll find me on LinkedIn. You'll find me in videos. You'll find stuff about me all over the place. If you go on LinkedIn, you'll see that I post all the time. I don't so much post anymore on Facebook. Don't love Instagram, but I'm there. But it's one thing to show up that way and be visible. It's another thing to be very vocal. And I am not very vocal. I might do videos, but I don't really go out there and be like, I'm the shit, which I am. Right? This is what I do. This is who I do it for. Nobody else can do it better than me. I don't do a lot of that. And I don't do a lot of posts or videos that are like me, 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 me. The reason is because I am very much about, I always say that I've been saying this lately, that I'm the woman behind the woman. I am very much about amplifying, affirming, and elevating, especially women. That's great. And that's all good. The problem, however, is that if I am not vocal about that's what I do, and that's how I operate in this world, and that's how what runs my business, if I'm not vocal about that, then those women that I'm trying to amplify, affirm, and elevate don't know that they can come to me for that type of work. They don't know that they can come work with me as a strategist to be able to help them elevate their authority and increase their influence so that they can create the impact and income that they desire. Right. So, I could be over here, sometimes I'm over here in my little tears and in my mood about what's going on, but I have to be very honest about what role am I playing in that not being the reality. Whatever it is that I think should be the reality, what is the role that I play in making that not a reality? Some of you, right? And I want you to think about, as I'm saying this, like, what are you doing to self-sabotage? Some of you are out here with this whole idea around imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is bullshit, and I want you to let it go. I know. They got studies and all kind of stuff. It says like 70% of people have had imposter syndrome, in their life. If you go back and look at where they came up with this whole idea around imposter syndrome and what they were looking at, they're looking at whether or not you have doubts and fears and you thinking like, am I the right person to be able to do this? Can I go do that? Those are all natural human emotions. Why does that make you an imposter? And for the most part, the people who claim imposter syndrome are women. It's just another tool to hold you back, to keep you from going after that job, from keep you from going after that funding, to keep you from going to pitch your business, from keeping you from asking somebody to sponsor you or making, or charging $50,000 for, your services. Because why? They got you running scared. They got you running scared that you're this imposter. And what I always think about is the power of words and that words matter. And if you look at imposter syndrome, imposter means fake, fraudulent, deceitful. And it's not just it's fake, fraudulent, and deceitful, it's intentionally so, right? That you're intending to deceive people. And the other part of that is syndrome. A syndrome is a sickness. So I always say to people, think about imposter syndrome. If you break it down, that you're calling yourself a sick fraud. If somebody called you a sick fraud, I always say this, if somebody called you a sick fraud, you'd be ready to take off these earrings, pull your hair back, put Vaseline on your face, and get ready to fight. So if you would not let somebody else call you that, why? Why on this God's green earth would you allow yourself to label yourself that way? When you are feeling scared, there's plenty of days. I'm here, I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling doubtful. I'm thinking, should I do that? I get this vision because I have all these big ideas, right? One that I'm working on right now, and I have to like keep myself in check and be like, yes, you can do this. The doubt that I feel or the fear that I feel is just that little voice in your head saying, pay attention, pay attention. Maybe it's something that you need to really reconsider. Maybe it's something that you need to slow down on. Maybe it's something that you just don't need to do. But it doesn't mean that you're somehow this, fake, as they used to say, fake fugazi, right? That you are just this deceitful person that, oh my God, they're going to find you out. What are they going to find out? That you're brilliant and that you should have stopped playing games a long time ago and done what you were doing? Do not, please, 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 if that is something that you keep saying, I know there's lots of women who are like, I have it too. This is not a thing for you to be raising your hand and trying to be in this club. Do not claim imposter syndrome. Claim the true feelings, emotions that you are having, and understand where those are coming from and how you can work to overcome those, go around them, work through them, do whatever it is that you need to do in order to make sure that you are not being the saboteur in your life. The other thing is that we need to have the audacity to do things. There are people out here who have the audacity to be mediocre. And you wonder why they're doing better than you. They're mediocre. They don't have the degrees, the certifications, the life experience, the professional experience, the charisma, the skill set. They don't have any of those things that you have, but they have audacity. And that audacity is that I am going to show up and be visible and vocal. And I'm going to tell you that I am that person. I am that chick. And you're going to hire me. And I'm going to turn your company around. And I can coach you to, get $10 million in the next 30 days. And I'll make sure that, your speaking calendar is filled for the next year. They have the audacity to tell you those things. Now, what I will say to you is that I want you to both have the audacity and the credibility. So a lot of those people, they have the audacity, but underneath that hood, that credibility is lacking. So they can't really deliver on the promises, but I want you to be a person who both has the audacity and the credibility to show up in the power of who you are claiming yourself to be as you're out there being visible and vocal. And we have to stop waiting for permission. We are often waiting for somebody else's permission to be able to go do a thing, or their permission for us to be able to call ourselves a thing. And this is really true for all of you, all my high achieving sisters out here who have every degree, every certification, every qualification, but yet you refuse to call yourself an expert. You refuse to call yourself a thought leader. You refuse because you're like, no, I'm not supposed to say that. Somebody else is supposed to give me that title. They're supposed to anoint me expert. They're supposed to anoint me highly paid and sought after. They're supposed to anoint me as renowned or whatever it is, whatever word it is that you wish that you could use. And I tell you this from experience because when I started in this business, I did not want to call myself an expert. I'm like, I'm not supposed to do that. No, who am I to say that I'm an expert? That's for somebody else to say. Somebody else is supposed to say, oh, Kelly Charles Collins is an expert in this field. And my sister beat me down around this. And she said, if you do not call yourself an expert, if you don't believe you're an expert, how is anybody else going to believe you're an expert? Until you believe a thing, you can't show up as that thing. And so if you want to be the number one coach in your industry, if you want to be a highly paid, sought after speaker, if you want to be, an expert and for people to look at you in that way, you must first look at yourself in that way. You must first decide that you're an expert, a highly paid, sought after speaker, a thought leader, the number one in my industry, the only one, the best at, the baddest at. You have to knight yourself, right, with those titles and those exaltations before anybody else is going to do that. And when you do that, it was such a game changer for me, y'all. When I decided that I was an expert, when I decided that I was going to call myself an expert, especially in the area of unconscious bias, the way in which I showed up, the way in which I started to talk about that content, the way in which people started to react to me was totally different. And so this whole idea of playing small, this whole idea of sabotaging our success is so real. And it doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how accomplished you are. It doesn't matter. We all have this. Like we all are doing some little thing that's holding us back a little bit. So I want you to think about what is in this business that you say that you want to be in, and this business of cash flowing what you know and leveraging your brilliance to build your business, your brand, and your bank account. What is it that you're doing? What are you doing to hold yourself back? What are you doing to sabotage your own success? What labels are you placing on yourself that are diminishing and discounting the brilliance of who you are? What labels are you refusing to accept and acknowledge and embrace that are also holding you back and diminishing who you are in the eyes of others? Because in truth, you really are that chick. The other thing that I was running away from too was the whole idea that I was a lawyer. I know, crazy. I didn't want to put Esquire after my name. I didn't want to put attorney in my title, all of that stuff, because I'm like, I don't do that anymore. I don't practice anymore, but I'm still a lawyer. I'm still licensed. I still got to pay my bar dues. I still got to take all these courses and stuff. So I am still that person. I just don't practice law anymore. So again, what are some of the things? Do you have a PhD? I have a friend who has a PhD, and for a long time she wouldn't put doctor in front of her name. I'm like, girl, you got to put that doctor in front of your name. You got people out here running around with doctor in front of their name, and somebody just gave it to them as a gift. And you did the work. Are you running around here not using all of your honorifics? Use them. You earned it. I was at I was speaking for a group of women, and there were all these women in there, just Black women, highly educated, and they were doctors and all the things, but they didn't want to call themselves doctor such and such. They're like, I have a PhD. No, 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 ma'am, you are doctor whoever. So I wish, right? I have a Juris Doctorate, but I can't call myself doctor because they don't let us do that. So I make sure that my ESQ is after my name, right? The other thing that I don't really claim a lot is my MBA, which I should, right? I have a master's degree, an MBA in international business management. So what I'm saying to you is I want you to start thinking about what role are you playing in keeping yourself small or keeping yourself just not in the game at all, or that you're allowing yourself to be hidden and thinking, well, why is it that everybody else is out here doing all the things and I'm not? And the final thing I want to talk to you about is whether or not you are truly trusting yourself. Is there a lack of trust that you have for yourself, for your ideas, for your gut, for your thoughts? One of the things that I've had to and have been doing over the past several months is really reflecting on where I am and what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and how I'm showing up. Because what I've found myself doing, so I came out of the practice of law fully, you know, confident in who I am and my ability to practice and my ability to try cases and my ability to do all the things. Came into entrepreneurship, again, fully confident in my ability to speak and to create an impact and shift audiences and do all the things. And then I got into this space of this world of entrepreneurship, this world of online entrepreneurship, right? So as a lawyer, I was working in an office in a law firm and we were doing things and I was in the courthouses and all that stuff. I wasn't online. I didn't do all the stuff online. Now, here I come into the speaking business. I get thrown into this online world and this whole idea of online entrepreneurship and starting to second guess, right? Like, because, okay, this is not my world. This is a new world. And you have all of these people who have been in this world and say, you got to do things this way and you got to be on this platform and you got to say things this way. And, oh, you want to do that? No, you can't do that now because you got to wait until you get this. And you have to, like, all the things, there's all these rules, right? And I found myself like really buying into all of these rules and paying all of these people all this money to coach me and mentor me. And, I'm like, y'all don't know no more than me. And in fact, sometimes I know a lot more than you do because they know what they know. But I found myself being tied into all of this stuff, especially because there was Clubhouse and then there was the pandemic and there was just all this noise. The other thing that I found myself doing a lot was constantly gathering information. this free masterclass, that free webinar, this thing over here, like just doing all of this information gathering. When we constantly are gathering information and we're constantly gathering information from so many different sources, what it does is it causes us not to take action, right? Because you're over here in this program and they're telling you do it this way. Then you're in this program and they're telling you do it this way. You watch this video. The thing is to find people that you trust and ride with them and look at what they've done. And if what they've done is what you want to do and they're still doing it, follow that advice. Don't go, like couch surfing. Don't go coach surfing. Don't go coach surfing. And at some point, you have got to stop gathering information. I was bad about it. And again, you'll hear me talking about my sister a lot. My sister is a person who like just is always in my ear. She's my older sister and she's brilliant. And I remember one time I went to an event and, after the event, everybody's, they sell you stuff, which, hey, it's a business, right? They gave you free information. Now they're going to sell you stuff. That's great. So I was at this event. It was very exciting. I learned a lot of stuff. And then at the end of the event, the host was, the coach mentor was selling her program. And I was like, I want to get in the program because, you get fear of missing out. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to talk to my sister about it and tell her. And she was like, you don't need another piece of information. What you need to do is take action. So I want to say that to you. You don't need another piece of information, most of you. Some of you do need more information. But I want you to really look at whether or not you need more information or you need implementation. Information or implementation. And this whole idea of information or implementation has got my wheels turning. And what I love the implementation. I love executing on things and I love seeing things done. So one of the things that I'm working on is putting together implementation intensives so that you can come and do the work. Because we often get told, well, this is what you should do and this is how you should do it. But if you don't have that skill set or you don't have the resources, or like me, you were coming out of the practice of law and all of this was new to me. What is a funnel? A funnel? What the hell is a funnel? Write a book? All the things, right? Develop websites, speaker one sheets, landing pages, all the things that we're doing here, going live, streaming, all the things, right? That are necessary, but oftentimes we're in this role as corporate trainers and speakers, as solopreneurs. So we got to learn to do the things, and we got to do the things if we can't afford to pay somebody else to do it. And so getting more information is not going to move the needle. Getting more information and just stacking that information like squirrels stack nuts in their cheeks is not going to help you. You have to at some point say, I am going to trust. I am going to trust. So I started this with trust. I am going to trust that I now have enough information. I am going to trust that I am resourceful enough to go out and either learn to do the thing, right? Implement the thing that I've learned, or I'm going to go and find somebody who can do it. But there has to be an activation period. There has to be an implementation period. And then once you implement that, maybe then there is something else for you to learn. But if you just keep learning and there's no implementation, and then you're learning and supplanting, right, to the issue of trust, supplanting other people's ideas and limiting beliefs and quote unquote rules that God knows where they came from around how you could do a thing or why you should be able to do a thing or not do a thing. I'll give you an example. One of the things that I love to do is in-person events. I love to do events. I used to own a wedding and event planning business. And when I had my wedding and event planning business, I didn't have an email list. I didn't even know what an email list was. I wasn't on social media. Didn't do funnels. I didn't even know there was something called a Facebook ad. None of that. The only place I was on LinkedIn. I had I had a Facebook account, but I never used it. You can go back and look. I started using Facebook in 2018, right? Actually posting. And so when I was doing that business, I would come up with ideas. One of the ideas I came up with was bridal boot camp. And I came up with the idea and I went about figuring out how to put this into fruition. I decided that I wanted to have a nonprofit. I started a nonprofit, the Pink Ribbon Runway, to raise money for breast cancer. I figured out how to do that and how to, how to get the nonprofit first of all, to get that status, and then how I was going to run these events. I put on these beautiful, elaborate events and raised money for breast cancer. When I was doing the bridal boot camps, I got the hotel to give me their ballroom for free, and I got exhibitors and all that stuff. Just by talking to people and telling them what I was doing, I trusted that woman, right? That she had a vision. That woman's me. I trusted that I had a vision and that I could execute on that vision. I have found myself in this era of entrepreneurship, this new era of entrepreneurship, not trusting myself fully and supplanting other people's ideas and misgivings and limiting beliefs to cause me to play small, to cause me to pull back, to cause me to not just go out there and be who I am, to not trust myself. And I was having a conversation with a colleague yesterday, and we were both talking about this, like really getting back to trusting in the power of who we are and trusting that if we've been given a vision, that we also have the tools and the resources and the expertise and the willpower and the desire and the commitment and the belief to execute on that vision. And so I want to just really have this conversation with you so that you really start to think about what role you're playing in your success. You're responsible for your success. You're responsible for it. And so are you not trusting yourself? Are you not trusting your gut and your instincts? Are you lacking belief? Are you lacking commitment? Are you lacking implementation? Are you just out here information seeking? Are you the saboteur in your business? And if I'm being honest, I have to say that there are times over this, since 2020, when I started on this full-time journey, I have totally been the saboteur. And I have to be real about that. And I want you to get real about what role you're playing in your business. And are you the man? Right? Are you the system? Are you the oppressor of your business as opposed to, everybody else out here in the world? So just really start thinking about that. Really start doing some reflection and understand that you are so brilliant. You're powerful at your core, that if the vision comes to you, it can come through you. So next time, I don't know what I'm gonna be talking about next time, but there's all kinds of videos on this channel. Go watch them. Go watch them, because one thing about me is that I am real. I am not about the fluff. I'm gonna give you strategy. I'm gonna give you the behind the scenes. I'm gonna give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. I will tell you what I'm doing, what I messed up, all the things. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you share it with somebody who knows. Share it with a few somebodies who need to know about it. Set your notifications so that you never, ever miss an episode. Comment. Let me know what you think about the episodes. If you have a question, drop it there. The other place that you can ask me questions is by subscribing to my newsletter. Go to sosnewsletter.com and you will get a weekly newsletter. There's a section in there where you can ask me anything, ask me questions. I might answer it on the podcast, or I'll answer it in the newsletter, but I will answer it. If you drop comments, I will respond to your comments under these, on the YouTube page. So just make sure that you are tuned in, make sure that you have others tune in. And again, do not be your own oppressor or saboteur. Get out there, be both visible and vocal, and trust that when the vision is given to you, it can come through you. Until next time, take care.